A very warm welcome to all. Let me introduce myself to you. I am Stella Elsa Samuel, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, the Bhopal School of Social Sciences. So today we will be looking on Module 1, that is Understanding Child Rights. So in this module there is two parts. First part is about introduction of child rights and the importance of child rights. Second part is introduction to UNCRC. So we will look on to the table of contents. In that, first we will be looking on to the introduction to child rights, then who is a child, then why do children need special attention, then what are rights, difference between needs based approach and rights based approach, then evolution of child rights and its importance. Okay, these all are the topics in the first part of this module. Introduction to child rights. In the first point, we can see children are the future of our country. Thus, it is logical to invest in a child is to invest our common future. When I am reading this, I am remembering a quote by Jawaharlal Nehru. He said that children are like buds in a garden that should be carefully and lovingly nurtured, as they are the future of our nation and citizens of tomorrow. So we know that youths are the backbone of our country. Like that way, children are the future of our country. So to invest in a child means we are investing in our common future. Children are the most vulnerable group of our society and are often being subjected to abuse, exploitation, neglect, lack of health care and education. We all know in daily newspapers also, every day we are seeing some kind of exploitation, neglect or abuse in the society. So they are the most vulnerable group in our society. Then third point is every child has the right to lead a decent life. In India, as you all know, India is the most populated country as of now statistics. So in that 444 million are children, which is about 40% of the total population of our country. So a lot of our population is mostly 444 million are children. So as a concerned citizen, it is important to ensure their rights and value and dignity. Now we will look on to who is a child. In this paper we should know who is a child. According to international law, a child means every human being below the age of 18 years. This is a universally accepted definition of a child and comes from the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, UNCRC. An international legal instrument accepted and ratified by most countries. So our second module is mostly about UNCRC introduction, the rights by UNCRC, which all we will be looking on to. So here the definition of a child is given by UNCRC. That means a child means every human being below the age of 18 years. Now, why do children need special attention? We will look on to that. First is children are more vulnerable than adults to the conditions under which they live. As we all know, we heard about child labor, any kind of physical abuse, mental abuse which children are facing. So they are a vulnerable population of our society. Children are not seen as people who have a mind of their own, a view to express, the capacity to make a choice and an ability to decide. Even if it is part of their life decision also, they don't have voice in that. Instead of being guided by adults, their life are decided by adults. Children have no votes or political influence, they are not voting and have little economic power because they are not doing any job, so they don't have any financial security. So too often their voices are not heard. Also, children are particularly vulnerable to exploitation and abuse. Now we will look on to what are rights and also do children have the same rights which adults have. In some simple words, rights are common claims of people which every civilized society recognized as essential claims for their development. They are therefore enforced by the state irrespective of their age, caste, class, religion or gender. So irrespective of all these factors, rights are just essential claims which are made for the development of the children and it is enforced by the certain states. Okay. Human rights are child rights too. Now the next heading is, do children have the same rights which adults have? So we know child rights, we can say they are the specialized human rights. Here we can see international human rights instruments recognize that children as well as adults have basic human rights. Child rights are specialized human rights that apply to all human beings below the age of 18 because of their vulnerability to exploitation and abuse. Now, next slide we will be looking on to the difference of needs and rights. So, what is a need and what are rights? Through an example I want to explain it to you. So, here a child is saying, I want education, and another one child is saying that I have the right to education. So, this I want education is denoting like it is a wish or desire, like I want food or I want education. So, it shows the need. Whereas the second child, I have the right to education. So, it shows upon a claim that the child is making, like it is showing that we have the obligation on the part of someone to provide education, like the child is raising a claim and making an obligation on the part of someone to provide education for the child. So, that is right. So, need and right, I hope you understood the difference between need and right. Need is like it is showing a wish or desire. Rights is it is the claim that we are showing that there is obligation on the part of someone to provide education. So, that is all about need and rights. Now, we will look on to the need based approach and right based approach. Okay. In need based approach, it focuses on the resolution of the present problem. Like if a child is telling I want food or the child is facing hunger, then we are focusing on the solution of that problem. We are providing food or any kind of needs which the child needs. Okay. Second is concern for identified few children. Not everyone, like a specific population needs have some kind of need. So, it is concerned for an identified few children. And also third point we can see needs are usually ranked in some sort of hierarchy where some needs are more important than others. Like it is we can arrange it in the hierarchy, like which is more higher. So, according to the higher needs we will be satisfying it. Once goals for certain needs are met, there is an assumption that need has been eliminated. So, needs are usually ranked in some sort of hierarchy. According to the higher need, it will be satisfied for the child. Then next is rights based approach. In that we will be focusing, or the concern is for the underlying root causes. Here in need based it was the resolution of the present problem, whereas in right based we will be focusing on the root causes of that specific problem. And rights based are universal and concerned for all children. Here it was for an identified children in need based approach, whereas in right based approach it is for all children and it is a universal. Third point is rights cannot be ranked, they are indivisible and equally important. We know all rights are dependent and indivisible. So, it cannot be ranked, whereas needs can be like arranged in a hierarchy. Until a right is full realized, it cannot be violated. So, these are the difference between need based approach and the right based approach. We will go to the next slide. In this we will be focusing on what are child rights or what is meant by child rights. Okay, we will be looking on the definition of the child rights also. Child rights are a set of legally binding norms and standards for the care and protection of children that apply to all children at all times in all situations. So, whatever it is, whatever situation are there, these child rights are for all children and it is a set of legally binding norms and standards. And how this, what are the origin of this child rights? Children's rights started as a response to the need to protect minors from any form of exploitation, abuse, discrimination and neglect. So, in daily in newspapers we can see 1 or 2 cases of children facing any kind of physical abuse or mental abuse. So, because of that it was necessary to bring child rights. Historically, children were considered to the property of their parents or guardians and they were denied any type of participation in society. They did not have a voice in the decisions that affected their lives because most of the decisions were taken by the parents or the guardians for the children. Now, in next slide we will be looking on to the evolution of child rights. So, it started on the 19th century. the 19th century marked the start of child rights. The child began to be considered as a being in need of protection because of all these cases. Day to day we are hearing all these cases, so it was considered as in a need of protection. For the first time in Europe, laws were passed concerning child labor. Different legal texts progressively encouraged or made education obligatory for young children. Society recognized the fact that the child could not be dealt with the same way as an adult because their needs are different. So, we can't see the rights of the adult for the child also. So, now we will look on to the hierarchy of the dates or years of child rights. So, it started in the 19th century. So, 1924, the Geneva Declaration remains the first international human rights document in history to specifically address child rights. So, 1924 it started, then 1946 where UNICEF was established. The United Nations General Assembly establishes the International Children's Emergency Fund, that is UNICEF, with an emphasis on children through the world. Then 1948, which is an important date, the United Nations General Assembly passes the UDHR, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, in which Article 25 entitles mother and child to special care assistance and special or social protection. So, you need to remember this, all these dates. 1948 is very important because UDHR was established, and concerning the child rights, Article 25 focus on the mother and child protection. In 1959, the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Declaration of the Rights of the Child on 20th November 1959. It was just an expansion of General Declaration from 5 principles to 10 basic principles, named UN Declaration of the Rights of the Child. The next date is 1966. With the international covenants on civil and political rights and on economic, social and cultural rights, United Nations member states promises to uphold equal rights including education and protection for all children. Then in 1989, the UNCRC was established, which is very important because our second module is Introduction to UNCRC. So, the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, it is a treaty adopted by the United Nations General Assembly in 1989. It is a landmark achievement for human rights, recognizing the roles of children as social, economical, political, civil and cultural factors. Then last 1989 is the important year. Then last 2 more optional protocols were added to UNCRC on the year 2000. Here the United Nations General Assembly adopts 2 optional protocols to the 1989 Convention on the Rights of the Child. Now, in this part we will be hearing the introduction to child rights. So, we will be discussing on some basic child rights, and in second module according to UNCRC the main 4 rights we will be hearing, and the articles which are for the protection of children or the rights of the children we will be hearing. Here basic rights of the child. So, in this slide you can see every child has the right to, first one, life, survival and development. So, this right means that all children have the right to be born, to survive and to develop. That means to grow to the full potential of their life. Then second right is every child has the right to education, including access to primary and secondary education. That means all children should attend primary and secondary school, and there should be free and compulsory education to all children irrespective of their family's income, social status, financial security, etc. So, every children should get education. That is the primary need. Then third right is every child has the right to health and health care. All children should get a standardized health care for their safety and for protection from all kinds of diseases. Then the next right is every child has the right to a name and identity and to be cared for by their parents or other caregivers. So, all children should have a specific name and an identity in the society, and also it is the responsibility of the parents and caregivers should to take care of the child and to provide them with some kind of safe and secure environment. Then the next right is every child has the right to express their opinions, be heard and seek information. Even though parents are taking decisions for them, they have the right to express their opinions, whatever decisions which are relating to their life, and also to seek information if any topics which are related to their life comes. Then the next right is to participate in decisions that affect their lives according to their evolving capacities, to participate in decision making. Then the second last one is every child has the right to protection from abuse, neglect and exploitation. As we all are hearing, there are physical abuse, mental abuse which children are facing, so protection from all those kind of things, and the parents and caregivers are responsible for providing a safe and secure environment. Then the last basic right is every child has the right to play, leisure and cultural activities. That means they should be involved in some kind of sports, music, art or any kind of cultural activities, so they can improve their skills and also their critical thinking. Okay, so these all are the basic child rights which we discussed today. In the second part, we will be focusing more on to the rights which are given by United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child. The main 4 rights we will be dealing with. I hope you all understood. Thank you.